Welcome to Beyond the Velvet Rope with Neal Oates Jr., the podcast that takes you on an extraordinary journey into the world of luxury service. Join us as we unlock the secrets, stories, and strategies behind exceptional experiences. From anticipating VIP needs to crafting unforgettable memories, we'll guide you on a path to service excellence in the realm of the affluent. Let's elevate your expertise and redefine the art of world-renowned service. Here's your host, Neal Oates Jr.
Today on Beyond the Velvet Rope, I have the privilege of sitting down with Nathaniel Crawford, real estate broker and founder of Black Luxury Realty. Nathaniel operates at the intersection of luxury real estate, culture, ownership, and legacy. His work is not just about helping clients buy and sell beautiful properties. It is about helping people understand access, wealth, identity, and the power of making real estate decisions with intention. Through Black Luxury Realty, Nathaniel has built a brand that speaks to affluent buyers, investors, professionals, and families who see real estate as more than a transaction. They see it as a strategic move, a lifestyle decision, and in many cases, a legacy building tool. What I appreciate about Nathaniel's work is that he is not simply participating in the luxury market. He is helping shape a conversation around what luxury means, who belongs in those rooms, and how representation, excellence, and strategy all come together. So today, we are going beyond the listings, beyond the price points, and beyond surface level image of luxury. We are going to talk about real estate, access, wealth, culture, and what it really takes to serve clients at a higher level. Nathaniel Crawford, welcome Beyond the Velvet Rope. How are you, sir?
Good. I'm good. I'm glad to be here.
All right. So Nathaniel, Nate, they call me Mr. Crawford. I mentioned some things about you first. How do you want me to address you, sir?
Well, Nate is fine. Nate is fine. I get both. Nate, Nathaniel, they're interchangeable. But Nate works.
Okay, so we're going to work through this as Neal and Nate, not to be confused. We're just two sexy Black guys, ladies and gentlemen. So the mistake can happen easily. So Nate, I mentioned some things about you. What's something that I did not mention that you think will be beneficial to our audience, sir?
One of the things that I lead with in a lot of my conversations is I am very passionate about Black folks in luxury spaces. While that obviously that's not the exclusive extent of my audience or my clientele, but I recognize the value and the power and appreciate the opportunities that are afforded and created when Black folks are included, rightfully so, in luxury spaces.
Now, we're going to jump into this immediately. So the moment that we were introduced, I saw the way you were dressed. You're looking funky, looking fresh. I appreciate it. But the space and then the relationships that brought us together. You mentioned Black folks in luxury spaces with no hesitation, with no pause, with no apology. And that excites me. What gives you that passion to be you, to say this, to champion Black, brown in spaces that if we're being honest, has been made to be taboo, right? So what gives you that desire, that passion, and that confidence?
Well, I think it's my responsibility. I have been in real estate for many, many years, almost going on 2 decades now. And I've been blessed to do amazing things with millions and millions of dollars of real estate and sell really sexy stuff and work with amazing people. But one of the things that have been a constant through a lot of that is being the only Black person in the room. And I know how that feels and the contradiction in that, to be so excited and so proud of an achievement or be excited about an experience, and then to look around the room and not see yourself anywhere. And that is a tension that I don't want other people to have to go through if they don't have to. And in some cases, we aren't in those rooms because we don't know about them. And in other cases where we aren't in those rooms because no one has given us the opportunity to be in those rooms. I was blessed. I've had amazing people, that have been part of my journey. I like to say God, my superpower is that God orders my steps. So I've been to be able to get into these places and see amazing things and do amazing things. And I believe part of the responsibility that I have now, since I've been able to see and do those things, is to create space for other people who are willing to learn, willing to put in the work, and want the opportunity to be able to be in those spaces as well.
The first thing I hear or that I love about you is I hear this abundance mindset, and I don't want to take that for granted. I don't want our audience to take that for granted. Where does that abundance mindset come from? Because Nathaniel Crawford, luxury practitioner extraordinaire, is not here with a closed fist, right? You didn't shut the door behind you. You didn't say no more that look like me can come into this room. You're opening the door. You're encouraging. Where does that come from instead of having that scarcity mindset, Nate?
Well, I am very much one to model after success, right? The cliche is that success leaves clues, right?
Right?
I have noticed that all of the people, without exception, every mentor I've had in and out of real estate and business, all of them came from a place of abundance. All of them had a very, very clear understanding that there's enough for everyone because everyone isn't going to work with me. Everyone isn't going to work with Neal. Everyone ain't going to it's just, there's enough for all of us. And the beauty of real estate is that it's very, you and I can get off of this podcast right now and go out and sell $100 million worth of real estate in the same city
Right.
and not affect either one of our incomes. And I think that's an amazing opportunity, especially when you look at places like South Florida. What's happening in Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County, the amount of wealth that's coming here, and that creates a space for us to be able to do really, really impactful things and have the tools and resources to finance those really impactful things because of the spaces we work in.
All right. So I want to jump to the person who's listening to us, who's watching us right now, and who were like, yeah, that's great for Nate. That's great for Neal. I hear what he's saying, but I do not have what it takes to get in, to do this thing. I don't have the blue blood pedigree, right? I don't have the education. I don't have the network. What do you say to that person who has seen the room? They're aware of the room, but they question their value or their ability or their worth to even be in those spaces, even after hearing us for only 3 or 4 minutes already, Nick?
Yeah. I would say it's a question of desire. It's a question of focus. All of those other things can be taught. Opportunity will find you, but you have to be committed to you. You have to be committed to keeping your commitment to yourself. If you don't believe you deserve it, you won't get it. And there's nothing that I can do or anyone else can do to help you. But the reverse of that is true too. If you believe you deserve it, that will lead to you to putting in the work, to doing the actions, to being in the places that the things happen for you. Some of my largest deals are not me. It was me just being in the space and having a conversation that turned out to be, 30, $40 million. It wasn't me acting. It wasn't one of my marketing strategies or anything like it was me being me where I was supposed to be. And if you're watching this and you're like, oh man, I want to do that, call me.
Okay,
Google me.
so hold on, Nate. Here's what we're going to do. So I mentioned Black Luxury Realty, and this is where we talk about having an abundance mindset and what drew me to you immediately. I did my research, and you do not just have Black Luxury Realty. You're not just a broker. You're not trying to get people to come in and be under you. That is secondary, third, fourth. That's way down the ladder. You have collectives, you have opportunities, you have challenges. You're coming in and creating an ecosystem and an environment where if someone wants to do this thing, you are helping them just out of this thing called heart, knowing that God is going to take care of you. So could you share some of the things that you're doing to make this luxury realm more accessible to those who might be on the outside double dutching, thinking, should I get in or not?
Yeah, absolutely. So What I've found is that very often agents will articulate what they need, what they think they need by saying they need coaching, or they need mentorship, or they need more information. When in actuality, very often they just need community. There's a differentiation. I think a lot of agents that are real estate agents shouldn't be agents. So we can sort of set that aside. So there's a lot of people that just got a false expectation, right? But the 20 or so percent that are in real estate that should be here, in many cases that I found, they are very good at what they do. I call it the visibility viability paradox, right? They have the viability. They're very good. They do transactions. They know how to build those relationships. They have a visibility issue, which means they're doing the right thing. They're just doing it in the wrong place. And my goal is to create spaces where they can connect with other people, people like you, people like me, where we can help them to get into those spaces that we're already in, or give them the advice or insight on how to find those spaces in whatever market they're in. So if you're not in South Florida, this strategy that we use to build meaningful relationships is a strategy that works no matter where you are on the planet. Like, it's not unique to here. You can be in Atlanta, you can be in Houston and New York and Dallas and Chicago, Los Angeles. It doesn't matter. The opportunity is consistent with you wanting to be in those spaces and taking the necessary steps. So that's the Black Luxury Collective exists as a thing to be able to for agents to come in and meet other like-minded agents, other agents that are creating content, other agents that understand the value of community, other agents that want to raise their price point. And that collective is a community. It's brokerage agnostic. It doesn't matter, what brokerage you're with. The goal is to just create a community of agents who want to do better, who know what's possible, and they're just not sure how to get there yet. So they want someone to give them that advice, insight, to say, hey, this is what I'm doing. How do I take it to the next level? And one of the easiest ways to take whatever you're doing to the next level is to find somebody that's at that level that you want to be, and have a candid conversation with them. And very often, I think there are various reasons. Like, sometimes it's apprehension. You don't want to approach somebody. You don't want to ask them. And sometimes people that are asked, choose to gatekeep, and they don't want to give the information. So my goal is to create spaces where people are comfortable asking the questions, and the people in that room that have the information are there and are coming from a place of abundance, and they're willing to share, to make introductions, to have those ongoing interactions to help you win from a very sincere place. And what I found is that when those things happen, that we all win, right? In a figurative sense and in a literal sense. We can do well and do good. We can make a whole bunch of money, but also lead very meaningful lives at the same time.
Now, you are someone who leads by example. So immediately when we connected, you shared information with me about meetups that you're having, and then previews for these luxury properties. So I'm in a chat with you and your people. And something that I have seen is that when they're asking questions, it is not, here is the answer, here's a website, here's a link or an email. It is, let me call this person, or call this person, tell them that Nate sent you, or that you're connected with Nathaniel Crawford. How important are relationships? Because we don't hear about the relationships. We hear about the training, the certification, designation, about the hours, about the previous sales. How important are relationships in this luxury world when we go beyond the velvet rope, when we get into the luxury lifestyle? What do relationships mean, not only to the business, but to you?
Relationships are the foundation of all success in your
Hold
business.
on, Nate, you say that. Do you really? Because people, now we've heard it, but do you really mean that and believe that to be true?
I would not be on this call with you. My career would not exist. I didn't focus on building meaningful relationships. Like, above and my career wouldn't exist. I wouldn't be married. I wouldn't have no babies. None of these things, good, meaningful, clear, concise, communication based relationships are what make everything else possible. And a lot of the people in my coaching programs, the people we talk to at our workshops, they hear me say it all the time: relationships, relationships, relationships.
More important than location, location, location?
Absolutely, by far. You can be in the wrong location, but if you got the right relationship, you can still make magic. But you don't know that if you don't have the relationship. One of the ways that you'll only know if you're in the wrong location is if you have the right relationship, because then the relationship is going to help you get to the right location. So the relationship affects everything that a lot of us us as newer agents, as people, but definitely in communities of color, I don't think we always appreciate how much weight the relationships we have built hold. Your name means something. That's a thing. I tell my kids, you're a Crawford. That means something. When you go somewhere, you should be able to tell them Neal sent you. And there are spaces where that means something. When we spend time and effort into building those relationships, one of the most powerful things you can do when you find somebody that clearly is in line with what you're trying to achieve is to help them. And sometimes the best help you can do is to open a door and say, when you get over there, tell them Nate sent you. Or in my case, you've seen me do it. I'm good for a group text. Well, let me put y'all in a group chat. Right. So now we know what's going on. I'm going to introduce you to Neal, and then I'm going to call Neal and say, hey, when she calls you, this is my people. Like,
Yeah.
what we do at a very high level is the foundation of that is relationship driven. There are a lot of average people who achieve amazing things, not because of their ability in whatever that field is, but because of their ability to build and maintain meaningful relationships.
Man, so ladies and gentlemen, we're here with Nathaniel Crawford, Black Luxury Realty, amongst other things. And because I don't want to pigeonhole you, but you mentioned when your kids say that the name Crawford, their last name is Crawford, that should mean something. When people hear Black Luxury Realty, what do you want them to understand immediately about the brand, the mission, the purpose, and the man behind the brand?
Well, I liken Black Luxury Realty to the Black American Express card, right? There are a lot of us who know exactly what that is when you say it. And there are other people who have no clue what it is when you say it. And I think that's kind of the way it's supposed to be. Like, there are people who know and they know. And there are people who don't know and they don't know.
Hold on, Nate. So you say that, I laugh at it, but you say that once again without apology, right? Because there are some who say, well, what does he mean? If I don't know, shouldn't he educate me, or should he like what don't I know? Why is it that you say some know, some don't? And I know that you said not everyone should be in real estate. Not everyone should sell luxury. Not everyone should aspire to. But if they want to, and you keep using this word committed, right? Are they committed to themselves? Just keep going down the path that you're going, because I didn't want to miss this. That, ladies and gentlemen, Nathaniel Nate Crawford is here sharing his opinions, his viewpoints, and I'm going to go ahead and be on record to say I agree 100% with what you're saying. So keep going, brother.
Yeah. So I believe very strongly that if you find your purpose, if you find your path, it becomes very easy to make the decisions required to keep that path. That doesn't necessarily make the challenges not exist, right? Because it can still be hard. I've paid a very high price for the success that I've had in real estate and continue to sometimes. But I have been very clear on the path and the purpose of what I do. That being said, if we're talking about in the context of Black luxury, we're talking about luxury. So if you're a person who sees that and says, oh man, they only sell real estate to Black people, if that's what you believe, there's nothing I can do to change your mind about that. So that's not true. We have people from all over the world who work with Black Luxury Realty. But if that's the lens through which you choose to look at this, it is not my job to convince you. In the same way that if you're an agent or broker or someone else who said, that's not my cup of tea, that's great. Because there are people who might hear about a Black American Express card and say, oh, it must be only for Black people. And then if that's how you feel about it, then maybe you feel that way about the Black edition of the Rolls Royce Cullinan or the Black edition of the Birkin bags. If everything that's Black is something you don't want to be part, that's fine. But if you know what that means, one of the taglines we use all the time in Black luxury is Black is not the absence of color. It is the presence of the infinite possibilities of luxury. So if you look at the depth and breadth of what we are building and the meaning behind that, there's a lot more there. But it requires a conversation. It requires proper context. It requires a desire, a commitment for something greater, whether that's greater service in your real estate journeys or that's greater service as an agent for whatever community or team you want to be part of. It's something that requires participation. It requires effort on the part of someone who comes into the universe. I'm happy to have conversations around all things real estate, family, faith, but it requires a conversation. And if someone comes into that conversation or doesn't want to engage in the conversation, there's nothing I can do to change that. So I used to give a lot of energy to that, to convincing and but now I don't. I understand where I'm supposed to be. And if you understand where you're supposed to be, then we can work on this. And if you would like help, I'm happy to help. But I can't convince you of your greatness. You have to believe that you have that greatness in you and you have a process, a path, a purpose. And then once you're on that journey, I'm happy to help you get wherever you're trying to go.
When you speak, Nate, you always speak in present or future tense. As someone who has done amazing things in life first, but then also in the industry, you don't look backwards and say, I've done this and this is like we're building. Right? And it requires, not what it required, past tense. Why are you so present in the present and then looking to the future and not just riding the wave of what you've already accomplished?
It gets greater later. It keeps getting better. Like I can't look at what's back there. My rearview mirror doesn't help me with the map. I'm moving forward. I believe very sincerely in constant progress. But I've learned that progress requires preparation and presence. So I can learn from where I've been. I can take that into account to be prepared for what's coming, but I also have to be very aware of what's going on right now. And that presence of what's happening right now and how does this apply to what's coming? And me being able to be focused on that when I have those moments like we all do, where you sort of think about what happened and how hard it got. And it can be, the little dark cloud comes out every now and then, every day is not a sunny day. But knowing what you've gone through can sort of inform what you're headed to. And in order to get to where you're going, that keeping that eye on the prize is the thing. And it also helps you to help others stay focused as well, because that's sort of the balance there. If I as a leader can't stay focused on what the goal is, if I can't help people to understand what's happening and the context that we're operating in, especially in today's world with the political stuff and societal stuff, being able to focus on, well, this is the larger frame of what's happening. This is where we're going. Yeah, that happened. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, that happened. Yeah, it was bad. But the next is always going to be better and more important. And the only way we can get the most out of that is to be focused on what we are building today and what is coming tomorrow.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're here with Nathaniel Crawford. I know you all are loving this, so I'm going to remind you right now, I'm going to tell you right now, all of his contact info is in the show notes or the description. Some fantastic ways to follow what he's doing. And he mentioned that he is a phone call, text, a message away from helping you probably find community, answer some questions, really uncover your level of commitment to yourself. So you will benefit from connecting with everything that Nate has going on. Speaking of what you have going on, one of your platforms that I absolutely love is LinkedIn. Your LinkedIn, the articles that you put out on LinkedIn are like one. I know that we can like give it a thumbs up, we can clap, we can do the hearts. The one that I use for all of your articles is the light bulb because it's insightful. And so one of the articles that I loved was I think it was Black Wealth White Agents, right? Or Black Money White Agents. And hey, come on. And so we're here with it, right? It's something, especially in our marketplace, we see one, there is black and brown wealth, but then, like you said, you might be the only face that looks like you in the room. And so is disproportionately going not to you where people can identify why do you feel there's a need to continue to communicate the message that you're sharing all day, every day?
Well, and particularly with that post is what I've found is less than 1% of all luxury real estate agents are Black. But I believe probably between 11 and 13%, however, of all luxury real estate buyers are Black. So there's a
That's a
huge
wide
disparity.
gap.
Exactly. There's a disparity there. And part of the way that that shows itself is there are a lot of very amazing people who have demonstrated commitments to building the Black community, have created jobs and done amazing stuff for Black folks. But when they purchased or sold millions of dollars in real estate, they did not use Black agents. And I realize that occasionally that can be a referral thing. And I'm not knocking that. I have no beef with that. I have referral agents that I use all the time that are not Black. But I also think that in some cases, it's an awareness issue.
Hmm.
They just don't know. And it's not something that they are cognizant of in a way. When you're a high level person, you're doing a lot of entertainment, athletes, equity guys, whatever, you're running a very big business. It can slip your mind if it's not top of mind. Oh, we should use a Black agent for that, or at least try to find one. So my goal is to make sure that whenever someone in the luxury space, no matter what vertical or industry they work in, is buying, selling, or investing in real estate, and they don't use a Black agent, it is not because they couldn't find one.
There you go.
So you can use someone else, whoever you have a great relationship with, but if someone says, "Hey, why didn't you use a Black agent?" the response should not be, "I couldn't find one." It could be, "Oh yeah, well my agent went to school with my wife," or "That's a great friend of mine," or "That's my buddy." There's 1,000 reasons why you can use an agent that's not Black, but the reason that it is my goal to eliminate is that you couldn't find it.
I love it. Hey, so as much as because I believe that you know the industry better than anyone that I've met, right? So you know the industry, you know properties, you know the product. But something that I found more intriguing about you is that you understand just elite client mindset. You understand how they think, how they operate. So I want to ask you, what is it that an elite client needs to feel before they fully trust a real estate professional? What is it that bridges that gap? Because you're really skilled at that piece. What's something that you could share with us that, hey, be aware of this first, more important than anything else?
Communication.
Man, why you make it
Communication.
sound so simple, man?
Because it's very simple. It is as simple as it sounds. And it's so simple that people overcomplicate it. It's very simple. Communication. There are most of the clients that I worked with, even early in my career, when I didn't have a long resume, I just had a whole bunch of hustle and I knew how to talk. What I would tell them very often is I may not have all the answers to your questions, but I am no more than 2 phone calls away from anything you need. I am a master of my resources. So that's the way to frame whenever you're working with high net worth. They just want answers. They want solutions. They want you to be able to confidently tell them, "I can fix that. I have an answer for that question." So the communication, and then right on top of that, I would say market knowledge. And that market knowledge is just you being out, you doing what you and I did when we met, being out to understand sort of the lay of the land, what's getting built, where, who's, making sure you're reading your newsletters every morning. So you understand the market as a whole. You understand what the trends are there. So you can intelligently speak about whatever's happening, usually in very casual terms, because this will be something you're, sitting at dinner, or you might be at a coffee shop or something like that. And your comfort in that market knowledge and your ability to communicate that knowledge is what makes those high value clients comfortable with working with you.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a master class. So I hope you all are going to come back and listen to this. We're going to binge watch, listen everything that Nathaniel Crawford is sharing with us. Don't forget to go to the show notes of the description, learn about the collective that he has, how you can join. But Nate, you operate
Yes.
here boots on ground in South Florida, which is one of the most dynamic luxury markets in the country. What
Mhm.
makes this market so attractive to high level buyers and investors at this time? Why are they drawn to your backyard?
But we are a very business friendly state, right? So the
Hold
no
on, hold on. Translate that because people hear you and they say, no, he's talking about buyers and investors. You're talking about business. You're talking about two different things. Go ahead and break that down to us at a very simple level, Nate.
no income tax. You are paying less taxes. If you come from one of these high tax states, a New York, a New Jersey, California, there are people who see as much as a 30% raise in their income because of the lower taxes. So that's whether you're a business owner or not. That's just the tax environment of the state, right? On top of that, depending on what sectors you work in, right? We are essentially the gateway to South America. So there's a lot of activity there. We have a very strong tourism economy. We are a retirement state. So if you do anything with the silver tsunami, as they call it, that wave of baby boomers that are retiring, if your business is anything in that, there's a huge opportunity there. In Brickell, down in Miami, we have the highest concentration of international banks in the country. So if you work in the finance space, there's a ton of different angles there for the ecosystems essentially that are coming down from multiple verticals, whether that's healthcare or real estate or tech, or there's a lot of opportunity there specifically in the luxury space.
Man, so ladies and gentlemen, if you can't tell, yes, there's a bromance between Nate and myself because he speaks my language. When I heard you say silver tsunami, right, I had heart palpitations because for me, that is my ideal and my elite client profile, right, caring about what they care about. So I want to ask you, since we have you here, how has the South Florida luxury client changed over your time that you've seen here in the marketplace? What's different? What's new? What are they looking for? What are they staying away from as we move forward?
I think we're seeing a lot more in new construction. We're seeing a lot more amenity heavy development, a lot much more amenity focus. So a lot more lifestyle stuff. And some of that is that silver tsunami. Some of it, I believe, is a lot of the units post pandemic. A lot of these condo units have gotten larger. So they're a little more family oriented. So you're seeing more development that's catering to people who can live their whole lives on site. Healthcare, concierge medicine is becoming a lot more popular, not just for the aging population, but just for the multi-generational households that want all of those services in one place. So over the years, I think that's one of the biggest things. I was watching the Miami Report with Craig Stutnicki over at ISG the other day, and that's one of the things he talked about. There are a lot of those new construction amenities have gone from 8,000 square feet years ago to upwards of 100,000 square feet in some cases, with cold plunges and salt rooms and all types of other amazing golf simulators and F1, because that amenity focus is really, really becoming a thing. And it's sort of dovetailed by a lot of that healthcare, health and wellness stuff. So that's probably the biggest change. Depending on what market you're in, people will tell you they've seen the buyers get a little bit older, but in other markets, they'll tell you they've seen the buyers get a little bit younger. So it sort of depends on where you're at. First, Palm Beach versus a Miami, closer to the water versus more single family stuff that's a little bit more west. So we're still in a very, very dynamic market as far as who's buying where. But I do believe that focus on health and wellness and amenities has been the biggest, probably most pronounced shift I've seen over the last few years.
Nate, as much as you've done, you still do not carry an ego. And I don't say that to stroke your ego. I say that just honestly, because even as much as you know and what you've done, you mentioned Craig Studnicki. And so you don't pretend to be the source of information. You're always saying, well, here's where I get it from. Here's what I've learned. Here's who I've learned it from. I don't have it, go to this person. What makes you so willing to continue to do that?
I think that's the point. I think that's it may sound cliche, but I believe that's a big part of my purpose is to be living proof of how good God is and how amazing it can get for you if you just do what you're supposed to do.
Man, powerful short answer. I love it. All right, this is my last formal question for you. We have people who are watching, who are listening to this episode, who are agents who want to work with higher end clients. What do they need to become before they can expect to attract the level of opportunity that you're experiencing? What do they need to do? Where do they need to begin if you were to maybe speak to yourself when you were that agent who was like, I want to get in here? What would you say to them?
Well, frequency breeds familiarity. What you
Hold
want to
on.
be.
Nate, do you always talk? Man, you just talking sound bites, brother. I'm talking about you, ladies and gentlemen. You all know you're about to get 40 shorts from our podcast episode because he makes my job, my life just easy. Now, do you think like this? Like, do you think in
Can't
these
help
things
it.
that just
Yeah.
come back to you?
Yeah. That's just the way my brain works.
All right, come on. Hey, keep this rolling. Hey, you know what? That was my last formal question. Now keep going, but I might have to ask 10 more questions just for the soundbite answers because when you say frequency breeds familiarity, you also believe that wholeheartedly. So continue, sir.
Yes. Yeah. So if you want to sell more real estate, if you want to sell more expensive real estate, you have to spend time around more expensive real estate. And the beauty of being a real estate professional, especially here in South Florida, is that there is an abundance of expensive real estate, whether that's open houses or sales centers. These are places that you can walk into for free and just go see and get the presentations, understand what you're looking at. That's the purpose of the site visits that we do twice a month so that agents can get that frequency, right? You want to be able to have seen these things. The example I use a lot is if you've never seen a $10,000 toilet, the first time you see one, you will be impressed. And if the first time you see one and you're with a client, they're going to know that you're new to this. So it's your job to be able to see these things so that you can still appreciate the magnitude of a toilet that plays music and changes colors and all the other stuff. But you have to be able to come to it in a space that, well, I knew that existed. It's really cool to have it in this type of property. So you're able to move in those places at a level of comfort that the people you're showing them to understand that this is what you do regularly. That frequency breeds familiarity. Whatever you do is what you're expected to do, right? And that frequency moving in those spaces is what prepares you for what is to come. You have to believe that you can do it, and that belief that you can do it makes you get prepared to do it, and that's then what happens, right? I can tell what you believe is possible by what you're prepared for. Preparation is the highest form of faith. We all have plans for tomorrow. That's because we expect to be here tomorrow. That's
Right.
preparation. That means you have faith that you'll be alive tomorrow. There are people who have plans for dinner. You are prepared to have dinner. That means you have faith that you'll be alive for dinner. You need to have that same level of faith about your success in the luxury real estate space. And that level of faith requires you to be prepared to sell a $5 million condo. And how do you become prepared to sell a $5 million condo? Well, you go to the places where they sell $5 million contract.
Once again, you make it sound so simple, but it is, right? And so, ladies and gentlemen, this has not been an interview. This has been a sermon. And we just heard Pastor Nathaniel Crawford. I don't say that lightly because I know that God uses all of us. You are walking in your purpose. So thank you for that. First, thank you sincerely.
Thank you.
But
Yes, sir.
now I want to have some fun. Are you open to a lightning round of questions, sir?
Absolutely.
All right. Now, I must tell you that my legal department says that you are not legally obligated to answer any of these questions. Okay. So do not incriminate yourself by no means. And my legal department does not really exist. So just wanted to make you aware of that. All right. So here we go. Favorite food?
Pizza,
What kind?
pepperoni,
What kind of crust?
uh, usually hand tossed.
Okay. All right. Is there a specific brand? We're working on endorsement deals right now and partnerships, JVs. Is there one that you love?
Well, see, I love good pizza in general. We probably order Domino's the most. So to all my pizza snobs out there, because I know a couple, I know that's not the best pizza, but it is the best. It is the most nostalgic pizza for me as someone who ate a lot of Domino's in college.
All right. Oh, okay. Because I was about to say, where's the nostalgia tie in? Now, I have a question because my wife and I, we've been seeing the commercials about the black and gold box from Domino's. Have you experienced the black and gold pizza boxes from
My
Domino's?
house has experienced it. I have not, because by the time I got here, it was just an empty box.
So unfortunately, I'm willing to say you probably ordered it, paid, and had it delivered only to get home to an empty black and gold
There you
box
go.
of, come on, man. A
So
true
maybe next
servant
time.
leader. Maybe next time. All right. Favorite color? Why?
Well, my love for the authenticity of luxury sort of makes me lean on it a little bit more. Historically, I was just a fan of bright colors.
Hmm.
And I sort of landed on purple. As you can tell, I like a lot of brightness. So most of the stuff is very eclectic, but I like the feeling, the aesthetic, the mental place that people go to when they see purple, lavender, those type of, that violet spectrum.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we are kindred spirits. Purple is my favorite color. If you didn't know that, most people do know that. So much so that it goes back to the biblical and the color purple and what that means for royalty. All right. What is one talent or skill that you do not have that you wish you did?
That's a good one, because I really like being me. So I don't know.
He says because hey, if I get something I don't have, then I'm no longer Nate.
Man, I'm not me. That's a
You
good
know.
one though, man. I am, man. That's a
Now,
good one. Man.
now hold on. See, here's where people are thinking. After the conversation, they're like, Neal, that's an insult that you would ask him that question. There's nothing that Nate can't do. That's the way they're thinking. They're like,
There
this
you
dude
go.
already has
But
all the.
that's the thing. Like that's how I approach my life. Like I do whatever is required. So I might not be good at it today, but if it needs to be done, I can be good at it tomorrow.
Come on, man.
That's a good question though, man. That's a good one.
So Nate, so it sounds to me, there are these two schools of thought when it comes to learning and education. Some of it is just in case, let me learn all this useless knowledge just in case I ever need it. But then there's just in time, like give me a problem and then I'll find out the solution just in time to deliver an answer to you. And so that's the school that I am a part of as well. I might not know it today, but if you pose it to me today, I'll have it for you tomorrow, or I will connect someone with you. So I love that. Ladies and gentlemen, Nathaniel Crawford, he is the most talented man in the world. He has no talent skills that he would have, that he would desire to have. But if he needed it tomorrow, he
Yeah, I
would
can
get
get
it.
it. There you go.
Okay. Batman or Superman?
Batman.
Why?
Because Batman is Batman. His strength is his mental capacity and creativity. Like it's not muscle, it's not all the other things. Like Superman is someone who's super, who has to fake that he's not super. You know, Bruce Wayne is a really smart guy that does really smart stuff and just has to hide how smart he really is. So I like that.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not saying that Nathaniel Crawford is Batman, but you've never seen them in the same place at the same time.
I got a whole relationship diatribe on Superman and relationships, but we can do that for another podcast.
Next episode, ladies and gentlemen, you all heard him throw it out there, and I am going to catch it. So you all can tell that I am a fan. I have been taking mental notes. As soon as we're done, I'm going to write some stuff down. In post-production, I'm going to take more notes. And then when I watch this episode, I'm going to take even more notes. Now, this may be the most important question of all. Mickey Mouse or Bugs Bunny? Or
See,
neither.
now I grew up in Miami, man. I'm a Disney World person. However, I'm a Looney Tunes fan. So and this is outside of the scope of your question, but I had a phase of high school where I was obsessed with Tweety Bird. I had all things, t-shirts, jackets, everything. So just because Bugs is Team Looney Tunes, I'm going to have to go with Looney Tunes. Now, I'm still going to Disney World. Don't make no mistake about it. But I'm Team Bugs Bunny.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you ever question if there's hope for you in anything you want to do in life, the Honorable Nathaniel Crawford has just reiterated that anything is possible. In high school, he was Mr. Tweety Bird.
Yes.
And look at where he is today. So that is exciting. You don't know what you just did for people, right? You just gave them permission to be themselves and to be that freely.
You find some pictures of me in college. I got probably a couple Tweety Bird shirts in my closet right now. If you catch me at the gym, they old, so they gym clothes. But I still wear them every now and then.
So let me ask you, we're supposed to be winding this down. What is it that makes you have this sense of joy? And because you're laughing at yourself right now, you're going back and thinking, like, where does that freedom come from that you're like, hey, yeah, this is me. I am Tweety Bird. I'm fun loving. Where does that joy come from?
Well, I have found that as the older I get, the more comfortable I get just being me. And there's power in that. And it took a long time for me to get to be this comfortable in my skin. But there are lessons that I've learned that have taught me very consistently that people are looking for you and they can't find you if you're being somebody else. So I have to make sure that even at times when it may be a little uncomfortable and it may not be the best foot forward that I could possibly put forward, being me is going to be what I'm going to be. And that works. Sometimes it doesn't work for other people, but that's going to always work for me.
All right. Now, of all the questions, this is the one that we're going to give you a pass on if you so desire. What is the nickname that only your family or close friends call you?
Thumper. They always call me. If y'all hear it on social media, if you meet my mama, she's going to tell you, my uncles, my cousins, my grandfather before he passed, everybody. Like that's how you can tell how long somebody's known me. They know who Thumper is.
Okay. Do you want to give us the story behind it, or is that none of our business?
That was because I kicked a lot before I was born. And when I was born, my grandfather said, Thumper is here. And it stuck.
So it has nothing to do with the movie Bambi, but Thumper, you just kicking.
Well, but the movie was out at the time. So I was thumping.
Man, I bet your mama was glad to get you out, boy. She's like, boy, quit kicking me. You just kicking. Come on, man. So that's cool. All right. Are you a movie watcher, sir? Do you watch movies?
When I can, yes.
Okay. So what is one movie that is, if it's on, it doesn't matter if there's 5 minutes left or if it just came on, you're going to stop and watch a piece of it every single time?
The John Wick series.
Come on, dude.
And probably The Matrix.
So John Wick and The Matrix. Man, brother, you are an anomaly. Right? You can't be Tweety Bird and Chief Assassin.
Yeah, well, there are times, just because I smile doesn't mean it's not hard. And there are very often times, I believe, where we spend a lot of time, and I know you work in the real estate space too, you work in the coaching space. There's a lot of times where I feel like I get up and fight all day. And I'm a father, I'm a parent, I'm a husband. My mom lives with me. Like it's this stuff that's going on all the time, and you got to get up and still go. And there are people that are depending on you, and they're depending on you not only to show up, but you have to show up in a way that doesn't bleed onto them and mess up their day because they have to go focus and do stuff. Or if I'm working with agents or stuff like that. So I spend a lot of time doing really hard stuff, just making it look really easy. And sometimes that's, I feel like a John Wick movie. I've said that to my wife. You wake up and you got to fight all day and then come home and fall into bed and do it all over tomorrow. And that's something that we know because we're doing it.
Yeah.
But part of that leadership role that you have is you got to get up and go. And it's not that you don't tell anybody that it's hard because I'm cool with talking about what's going on, but I present it in a way that says, "Hey, it's gonna be all right. We're gonna keep doing it. We're gonna figure it out, and we're gonna make it happen." Right, and that's what we do. So that's I think that's part of the reason why the John Wick movies resonate with me so much is because some days you just got to go kill it, and it's hard, but you got to go do it because that's what you were made to do.
To you, what is the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Best piece of advice you have ever received. Well, I would give you two. Uh, One is if you are married, your wife married you because she believes you're a superhero, and you are. So go be a superhero. That is probably from as someone who just celebrated my 23rd anniversary. That is probably the most powerful piece of advice I've been given. As a husband. And the second piece of advice that I've given, you've heard me say this previously, is there are people that are looking for you, and they cannot find you if you are being someone else. Like that's huge. There are people that are looking for you, and they can't find you if you're being someone else. They can't find me if I'm being Neal. They can't
Yeah.
find Neal if he's being Nate. Like they can't find either one of us if we out here trying to be Craig. That has been some of the most life-changing and some of the most challenging advice I've gotten. Because it's very easy to sort of slip into being what you think you should be or what you see work for somebody else when being you can be a little challenging because it makes other people uncomfortable.
Oh man. And that's how you're gonna leave us? You're gonna leave us with that right there. And he gonna walk off on us and say, hey, y'all catch me next time. Y'all catch me outside. Ladies and gentlemen, Nathaniel Crawford, dude, this has been a treat, a privilege, and an honor, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you follow Nathaniel Crawford, all of the platforms, see what he's doing, connect with him. You all have seen, you've heard that he is building collectively. He's bringing people on. He's helping. He's showing us how to do it for ourselves with those around us. So I want you all to make sure that you show love to Nate, that you support him, that you follow him, encourage him as he encourages others. Nathaniel Crawford, thank you so much for your time, sir. Man, this has been uplifting and fulfilling for me. Anything you want to say to the audience before we get out of here?
Stay focused, man. I appreciate you having me. I'm here to help. If you want to make it happen, I'm here to help you make it happen.
Man, he gonna leave us one with it's gonna make it uncomfortable for other people, you being yourself, and then tell us to stay focused, right? Two things like, man, I want it easy. I want to drift. I want to be a wandering generality and make my way to the top of the mountain. Ladies and gentlemen, the thoughts and opinions of Nathaniel Crawford are not the thoughts of Neal Oates Jr. and the podcast. You can direct all of your complaints. Nah, sir, I'm going to leave you all as we always do, and that is that we love you. God loves you. There's nothing you could do about it. And until the next time I see you or you see me, don't be average, be world renowned. Peace.